Welcome back to the Rachel LaForce Show. It's me, Rachel LaForce, and this is my show. This is a spiritual podcast for me, a comedian, for people like you who aren't quote unquote spiritual, and whatever that means to you. In the world of the wellness commodification, is that the word? Either way, you know what it is. I hope to be a voice that kind of like cuts through the bullshit, like almost like your drunk uncle. Like if you think about it, like your drunk uncle or like the crazy person in your family, like 90% of the stuff they say is like absolutely insane, but there's that 10% where you're like, I don't know, feel like he's kind of onto something, like there's always something they say, you're like, wow, that was incredibly profound. And then they, pass out in the guest room with underneath all the coats, or, I don't know your family. But that is what I want to channel for you, is a little bit of drunk uncle of just what's the brass tacks of all of this? Because I find there's either somebody like you where you aren't necessarily spiritual, and a lot of these like new agey, ethereal, ephemeral women, blah, 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 like that's just not your bag, right? And maybe personal development strikes you as like cheesy and all this stuff. And so I hope to be a example or something where it's like, yeah, it is a little bit of that, but it's also blank. Like there is a way, I think, to find these elements of like mental health, spiritual well-being, like financial success, kind of like all of these buzz things that we talk about, and how can we make them applicable? How can we make them practical in a way that, like, if you're on your hashtag like spiritual journey, like it doesn't have to all be like Palo Santo and crystals. You know what I mean? I did just light some Palo Santo, and gosh, does it just smell good. So divine. So that's who I am, and that's what this is. And I got a couple things to plug for you, baby. As always, if you are listening to this, or if you stumbled upon this on YouTube, do the opposite of the thing that you have not done. So if you are downloading this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, have you left a review? Please, do you understand? This is a small business, friends, okay? I live and die on these reviews. I live and die by your shares. My livelihood is in your hands. Do you know what I mean? This is about you now. So if you can share this with a friend, share it on social media, like, subscribe, all the things, go over to YouTube. Even if you're like, Rachel, I don't use YouTube. I don't need you to use it. Do you understand? I just need you to go hit that subscribe button, stick around, check it out. If you found this podcast by way of Instagram and you like the content I post there, baby, you're gonna love me on the tubes, because there's so many more small videos, short videos. And this fall, I have a couple of really exciting live events and seminars and kind of stand-up-y-esque events that I'm going to be doing. And all of that is going to be there available for you on YouTube. So stay tuned for all of the fall events that are coming up. But if you're thinking, Rachel, I need an event now. Oh my gosh, are you in luck? You're so welcome. I am doing another monthly group reading. That's Thursday, October 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Central Time, 8 p.m. And so what that means is we can all kind of come together. We show up on Zoom, and I just kind of talk about the energies collectively of kind of what's going on for us. And then again, always tying it to something that's practical, right? This last month, we talked all about kind of this idea of like messy evolution. I feel like so many people in my life right now, in like all areas of my life, are experiencing something where it's not starting from scratch. It's something they've done before, but they're doing it in a new way. They're stepping out. They're doing it more independently. They're doing it differently. And there's this feeling of wanting to have it be clean, seeking excellence. I know how it should be, so I want it to look like blank, when in reality, evolution is messy. That's just the way that it is. This season, this time is messy, right? One day it's like you're dressed for summer, and then the next day it's cold again, and you're like, what's happening? And that's what transition is. It's 2 steps forward and it's 2 steps back. So that's exactly what you're probably experiencing right now in your life. Even if you haven't clocked that's what's happening, right? You're kind of, again, just like the seasons going in between summer and fall, that you're going in between what this next stage of your life is, what this next thing is that you want, and kind of where you've been before. So that was everything that we talked about last month. So if you're like, wow, that really resonates, well, you should come to the next one. Pretty good at this. Do you know what I mean? Pretty good at this. Putting it all on the line. This is it, baby. She has no other skills. So I'm good at it. And I would love, in all seriousness, to have you in this group reading and sharing with me. So it always kind of shifts, depending on kind of how many people are there and what we're vibing. But again, if you listen to the podcast, if you're here for it, you know what to expect. So come on, enjoy. It's very low energy output for you. So as much as you want to be involved, you can chat, you can talk. If you're like, I'm just trying to hang back and like, I'm here for the messages, you know what I mean? I don't want to work. I'm here for that energy too, baby. So that is October 12th. You can go to rachelaforce.com under the Work With Me tab, group readings, and you could book that right there. They're only $22 a piece. I know. She's giving it away. $22 to join. Also, you can go to my link in bio, wherever that is available on all my socials, and you can book straight through to there. So today, what are we talking about? I'm building off of this idea of messy evolution. And because as always, if I'm sharing it, it's because I need it. Like people are always like, oh, that feels so relevant. I'm like, good, because it's the thing that's happening to me. All of this obviously is in the hope and the pursuit that through me sharing the specifics of my life, you may see yourself more clearly through what I'm sharing, right? So yes, it's to be of service. It's also so that I don't lose my mind. You know what I mean? Life is hard. That's what we're going to talk about today, which is this idea of how do we take the things that we want next? How do we take the things that we know, the Pete Holmes quote I love of like, follow the dreams that are following you. You're probably in this place where you're going to the next level, right? You're going to that next thing, and it's hard. I feel like so many of us, because if you are of a spiritual practice, you'll get what I call as the Gatorade dump, right? Your spirit guides, your higher power, however you define it, right? Your own confidence. I don't know you, whatever words you use, right? You get all of this, you get amped up, you're hyped, right? You get this Gatorade dump of like, what I call is like the blueprint. Yes, now I know what I'm going to do. And you're amped and you're like, yes, and you're seeing it, you're visualizing, and you're already high-fiving yourself at the finish line. But then you wake up the next day and now you have to do the work. That part is, you're right, not so easy. And that's what happens when we hit the place of action, that's when we doubt. We look at other people's successes of what we want at the end, and we're going, well, they already have it, so I guess I'm a failure. And it's like, what? No, first of all, when other people get, quote unquote, the things that you want, the things that you're working towards, take that as, oh, it's possible. Any other thing to use that, please always hear that. When you get on and you start playing their grass, no, stay in your lane, okay? Whenever you come back to that place, God bless. I hope that you hear me and going, if somebody else has achieved it, that means that it's possible. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be anything more for you than that. And I feel like in the same way where I talk about the more that you invest in your own intuition, that you will be able to use it more and more, and it's a muscle, right? And it'll just make sense, and it keeps you out of so much trouble, is the same thing with those comparisons. The more that you can kind of get back in your lane, and the quicker that you can do that, you can appreciate everybody else's successes. You can appreciate everybody else's growth. You can appreciate everybody else's engagement, notifications. You can, whatever it is, the thing that you are seeking that hasn't found its way to you yet, you can celebrate those things. And can I stop us for a second and just spiritually nerd out about how much, like if you want to talk about like, oh, I'm trying to tap into the frequency of blah, 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 and I'm, good, higher vibes only, whatever, okay? Celebrate other people's wins, even from afar. When celebrities, influencers, people old neighbors, whatever, when they post something on social media, and if it hits you with that ting, sit with that. And then I encourage you to see, can you not be like, congratulations, isn't that good for you? Okay, none of that. We don't need any of that bullshit. But like, Can you tap into that frequency of what it'll feel like for somebody to offer you that? What will it feel like when you have the thing? And then other people can be like, dude, congratulations, that's amazing. How can I support? Or, whatever it is. Like, when you can tap into that energy of being in celebration for someone else's win, for that energy, however you define it, dude, game changer. Call me later because it works. Okay? I mean, that's the thing where it's like there are all these small tweaks that we can make along the way that just make this experience of being human way more harmonious. Notice I didn't say easy. Okay? She winks to the camera. And that's what we're going to talk about today. You're getting all of these Gatorade downloads. You're getting all this information. Now you're going into practice and everything feels hard and you feel left. I call it the spiritual desert, where you're trying to check in with your guides, your higher power, whatever, and nothing is clicking. And you're going, what the, right? It's like even in the Bible or other spiritual texts, there's always those parables. There's always those stories of, I went and did this thing out of faith because I was told to do it, and I feel like God abandoned me. I feel like my higher power abandoned me. And then, of course, what happens is that they follow through, that they hold that faith, they hold that inner trust, and then they get the abundance of whatever was promised at the end. I mean, it's literally a tale as old as time, okay? So again, when you're talking about these things where when you can get into that space of, it's hard, but it's hard though. Yeah, that's why everybody's not Michael Jordan, okay? Like, that's why everybody is not, Toni Morrison. That's why everybody is not, how many more famous people is she going to name? Do I got one more? Oprah Winfrey. She got one more. But you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course, yes, there's the things of like privilege and luck and opportunity, all of those things. But I'm speaking generally, which is there's so many reasons why, quote unquote high achievers, there aren't a ton of people out there doing it because it's hard. It's not easy to show up for yourself every day when the results aren't showing up. That's easy. It's easy to be celebrated. It's easy to be in the place where it's like, and it all worked out, right? It's easy to cash that $1 million check. Oof, baby, that's going to feel so nice, right? Like, those things are easy. But it's like the things that are hard really is that inner work of that trust. Because I recognize in sharing this that it's like all of our hurdles based off of like our privilege and our birthright, what were we born into, all of that is different, right? And I recognize that. But the internal shifts are still all the same. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if we all did start at the same finish line or the starting line, right? It's like making those internal shifts, choosing and deciding I am worthy of asking for this amount of money. I'm going to put this much work into it for X amount. So at the end of it, I can feel comfortable, asking for this amount of money for my work. Or I'm going to, I'm choosing to break this generational trauma so that I can welcome a relationship that is healthy. Again, insert your Rachel LaForce example here. But I've just noticed, I've spent time in Broken Bread with a lot of people recently where they're like, well, yeah, it's hard. And I guess I just want to bring to your attention, like, yeah, of course it is. But hard doesn't mean impossible. Like, I'm just like, well, wait a minute. So you could have the thing you want, but it's going to be hard. So you just like, you won't? Like when we reframe it in that way, right? Like it feels like the Zach Morris, like, timeout, right? If you were not born in the 90s, you're like, I have no idea what she's referencing. But many of you are nodding and maybe laughing in your car. But that's what it feels like, right? Timeout, where it's like, you just didn't go after the thing because it's hard, or you didn't start because it's hard. It's like, yeah, everything is hard. I really can't, even going grocery shopping, like the thing that's supposed to be passive. It's like, if you've gone to Trader Joe's recently, it's a zoo, okay? It feels like American Ninja Warrior, just like climbing over people to get to salad bags. Like, it's insane, right? And so I feel like we have to reframe, what does that mean? And also knowing that like hard doesn't go away, because as soon as you get the thing, then you do, like, video games are the perfect like spiritual example, right? Where it's like, well, when you're on one level, that seems like easy, it's for beginners. But in order to beat the game, you have you're literally beating the game. Every time you go, it gets harder and harder and harder. So you're not going to go, oh, well, I don't know, I guess I'm just only going to do the easy part because like it's just going to be too hard. No, you can beat the game. It's possible. And it's like the reality is where it's like, I'm not going to offer you all of these like, and here's like how you do it when you're facing the hard. It's like what you do is you just show up. You just do it hard. You just don't, that should not be the quote for this one. You just do it hard, baby. The Rachel LaFour show. And scene. No, but you just do it hard. It's that like I was doing, so you guys know I've been on this like reclaiming my body journey, right? And so I'm working out 5 days a week and like these high intensity workouts. And I found that like it's honestly, I'm like, can't even believe that it took me until I was 37 to be like, wait a minute, you mean this is gonna make my overall well-being skyrocket? Like, because of course, if I don't know, you're a human in the world, especially a woman, that you're like, well, I exercise because then it'll make me thin, right? Which is just terrible messaging, but that's a podcast episode for a different day. But where I was like, oh, I go and I move heavy things and it puts me in my body. Like I'm way less susceptible to panic attacks. I tend to go slower throughout the day. I'm more intentional, right? All of these things. Anyway, that's about my workout journey. But there's always, I go to F45 and they have different like series of workouts and things like that. And there typically are always pull-ups. And can I tell you, if you think I'm funny on stage, you should watch me try to do a pull-up. Humbling, may I say, just humbling. And to watch me do a pull-up is also not true because I can't do them. So I have to do where I stand on the ground next to the people that are doing pull-ups. And I am just working on my upper body strength. So I use one of the resistance bands and going really slow. And I'm working on like building up that muscle group, right? And so I was recently able to graduate from that move to where I'm on the ground and I'm pulling myself, like the half of my body off the ground, right? So I'm just getting comfortable pulling my body up. And so in some ways I was like, wow, I'm making progress. I've gone to like the second stage of maybe eventually doing a series of pull-ups. And, but I was like working with my trainer and I was saying something. It was like the last 10 seconds. He's like, come on, like, you can do it, whatever, the part that a lot of us feel is cheesy. And I was like, man, this is hard. And he was like, yeah, it is. And he was like, well, do you want to do you can always go back and do the beginner part if that's easier. And I was like, no, I can do this part now. This part is just hard. So I'm going to do it hard. Like I'm going to let it be hard. And sometimes I always say that where it's like, I speak before I really like hear what I'm saying. And I feel like the magnitude of letting that land for me, where I was like, oh, yeah, that's what we should do, is like being able to recognize that something is hard, that you're challenging yourself. That means you're actively in the game. You're doing it. And it's not always going to be hard. But it is always going to be hard if you don't just start, and you have to show up, right? And this goes into the consistency. I've done consistency episodes a bunch, which is like you showing up every day is going to be different. Last week I skipped one day, or I didn't skip. I chose to rest because I was like, oh, my body is like so exhausted. And so that went into the weekend, and I don't prioritize working out at the gym on the weekends because of my kids and routine. Anyway, so by Sunday, I felt like just a gremlin in a pair of just Ann Taylor jeans. I was just so irritable. And I'm like, oh, I haven't moved my body. I've not lifted weights in 2 days. And like, this is how quickly my body has attuned to needing something new. Again, that hard is working because I wouldn't have been feeling this way had I not been doing that. So anyway, I had to go on Sunday. I was like, listen, Alex, I got to get out of this house. I was like, I feel like my skin is crawling out of it and it's awful. But again, the great thing about that was I was like, oh, this is working. I have now become accustomed to something new. I've become accustomed to a new hard. And what a beautiful thing that is, right? We know all the things. There's experts and people talk about this all the time of like making new habits and how do you do it. But, and yes, all of those things are helpful. Obviously, things that are broken down into steps are helpful. I do a lot of those episodes here. I'm more just wanting to share with you that it's like, yeah, no shit, it's hard. Okay? Like, yeah. And what is that's the classic A League of Their Own where she's like, well, it just got too tough or hard. I don't remember which word she says. And he's like, well, the hard is what makes it great. Like if it was easy, everybody would do it. The hard is what makes it great. And it's like, it's absolutely true. It's the thing that gives you the satisfaction. It's the thing that moves you into knowing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing the thing that I want to do. When you talk about that personal power, when you talk about, inner power, that's not a thing that you can vision board yourself into. That's why I have so much issue with the hashtag like new age spiritual community, or even just this wellness commodity in general, where it's all these like perfect looking bodies and faces, and they're like, well, come to like my candle making workshop and we're going to put intentions in the bottom of our candles and then light them for 40 days. Yes, ritual is beautiful, but if you think that a candle is going to get you to where you want to be, you're more fucking delusional than I am. Okay? It's like the only thing that is going to get you to the place where you want to be is you and doing it hard. That's it. I could call it there, but I'm going to pull a card. Of course she is. Oh, we're back on it. This is the Work Your Light Oracle set by Rebecca Campbell, and I really love it. I picked this one today because there's a verb in it. Work your light. Don't vision board for it. Don't talk about it, right? Again, the reason I'm sharing all this is I'm in this major transition where I feel like I am just being pulled to the edges of like, okay, girl, you say this is what you want. Let's go, right? And it's terrifying and it's hard and it's demanding this new video game level of me, right? It's demanding this new thing. So I really loved this idea that she already has work right in there. So I may pull a card or two, maybe just pull one from here and then jump to the other native spirit deck that I love. We'll see. But I'm basically going to pull these cards to kind of help extrapolate on these ideas a little bit of what does it mean to do the things that are hard? Because I think the second part of this episode today, and the kind of the second part of these concepts as well, which is like learning hard that's in alignment versus hard not working, right? Sometimes we get to a place where it's like, man, this is really hard and like nothing is working. There's no budge forward. And then that's when it really calls for, is that the thing that is in the most alignment? Because the daily choices that we make today set up what our future is going to be. So if you're saying, like, for instance, if I'm saying, I want to be known as the number one comedy spiritual speaker, that's kind of, what sets me apart, my authenticity is that I'm leading with, comedy. I'm saying that's what I want to do. Well, if I'm saying yes to other gigs that are taking me away from that thing, if I'm focusing on other aspects of my work instead of making that the number one, then I'm acting in opposition of myself, right? And a lot of times what the universe does for us, they've done it for me. Which is, we are going to put up roadblock after roadblock after roadblock because we are going to make this so hard. We are going to pull everything away from you so that you can have that place of oneness. Again, we talked about that a couple episodes ago. To realize, how do I get into alignment? How do I seek the things that are for me so that the things that I'm doing that are hard are preparing me to do the next thing, to do more, to be able to expand and be of service and all those things, right? So that's kind of the intention of which we are going to be pulling a card, is from this place of finding your alignment and finding strength of being okay, of being in that hard for the service of hashtag your future self. Okay. All right, let's go. Again, for those of you who are listening to this, I go quiet for a minute. I say a little prayer for myself, a prayer for us, and then I will pull a card. So feel free to take a moment of silence. Here we go. Ha! Ba, 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 ba. She can't make this up. Okay. So the thing that I was thinking when I was going to pull one where I was like, you're not going to pull, like anything is applicable. Not meaning that's like a cheat, right? That feels very like, call Miss Cleo, but meaning like, which by the way, great documentary, but meaning, especially within this realm of what we're doing, like you can't fuck it up, right? Which I think is the same thing of like when I think sometimes when we are in alignment and we feel like, oh, this thing is too hard, we get where we, again, going back to that messy evolution that we're all experiencing, which is like, I have to do the right thing. I have to be able to, it all has to be perfect or I'm going to mess it up. When you are in alignment of the things that are meant for you, when you are on the path of hard that is for you, please hear me when I say this. You cannot mess it up. You cannot mess it up. When you are actually doing in authenticity, in servanthood, in the ways of which this is the path for what I am supposed to be doing next. You can't mess it up. And exactly the card that I pulled, which my camera is too far away today, so you can't really see it, which is a bummer. But trust your path. Trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Again, if you knew that it was hard, but you knew that it would all work out, what would you do? If you knew that the hard was in service of getting you to the place that you're supposed to be, how would you move forward? Because I guarantee you would be like, well, it's hard. If you knew, I mean, again, going back to that, it's like, sorry, I'm fanning myself. My body gets so activated when I do these podcast episodes that I get like really hot. It happens in readings too. But if you knew that eventually you were going to be the one that was going to get X, whatever that is for you, get married, have a baby, get the big promotion, start the job, your startup takes off, you get the Netflix special, you get like whatever the thing is that's next for you. If you knew that you were going to get that thing, would you be willing to do the hard? Because I bet you fucking would. Okay. You would have started yesterday. If you're like, oh, I mean, like, but that's our thing where it's like, well, unless I can see it and like be guaranteed, then like I don't want to do it. And can I just say, I know I'm supposed to give you a spiritual take, but I have no fucking love for those attitudes. I just don't. I'm like, great, then don't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like when people come to me like, oh, well, I don't know, it's like going to be hard. I'm like, great, well, you'll do it or you won't. Like, I'm not, when I do mentorships and things like that, like, I'm not here to remind you every time you come. We're like, no, you're going to do it. You're going to do a great job. Yes, I'm here to support you, but like, I'm not your mom. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, you will decide that it's worth it for you to do. You will find that messy evolution within yourself or you won't. So trust your path. If you knew that you would be supported, what would you do? The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after the other. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see if the end. Guys, stop. What? Like, I don't understand even how this happens. Okay, yeah. Most people don't follow the highest calling of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. Right now, if we were in studio, I'd go, I'm sorry, can we roll back that good old bean footage? Okay. I literally just said that. I was like, so many people. I'm like, if you knew that it was going to work out and you could see what it looks like, your action would be completely different. That's wild. Yeah. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. If you take one baby step each day within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. Again, messy evolution. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that thing. And before you know it, in just a year from now, you will turn back and look in awe at how far you've journeyed. Keep moving and open yourself up to a new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you're planning. Things are not going to work out in the way that you're planning. But if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could have possibly imagined. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. So this is kind of her journal prompt. If you knew what would that you would be supported no matter what would you do? And I don't know you, so I don't know what you would do. But I am very interested of like, how would you do things differently? And that's a huge thing. Like I'll let you into a little Rachel LaForce inner circle, which is, yeah, there's a lot of things that I envision and these things that I'm feeling like called to do, being like, I don't know where any of this leads. And it feels like very far away from, like tangential, but far away from the things that I've done, which is very scary for me, right? There's a lot of grief in that. There's a lot of where it feels like, but wait, but I have all these other skills. Like if I leave that thing, and it is this, I mean, when you want to talk about all the action is hard, sure. But the hardest part of changing your life is keeping the faith that you're worth it, is keeping the faith that if you keep showing up, if you keep doing this thing, that you will get to where you want to be. I mean, for me, that's the thing that I'm really enjoying right now about moving my body, which is seeing my body change, seeing my body become more strong. You know, I mean, listen, I don't make small babies. Okay. So it's like, I've got a 2-year-old who's like 45 pounds. This guy, I mean, I make just stocky little farmers, just little baby farmers. And then my other son, Teddy, turns 6 months this week. Thank you so much. And, or 6 months old. And he's, I think, like 22 pounds. I mean, these are like hams that I'm walking around carrying. Okay. And so it's like feeling my body change and knowing that it's like, I can take them outside. I can run around. I can carry them up the hill. Like I can carry both of them at the same time. That again is that showing to me of like, when you show up, that things do change. That showing up a little bit every day. I'm not going to leave the gym and be like, oh my God, I look snatched. Like that's not how it works. You went just today. But over time and slowly and showing up, as my body gets more conditioned, as my body gets stronger, right? As my body changes, I feel differently in my clothes. I feel more confident. I show up differently. I have more energy, right? All of these things feed into each other. It's the physical manifestation of that idea of daily deposits, something that they say in AA all the time. And this quote gets thrown around, which is like one day at a time. And I think that's all, like, if I were to leave you with, how do you eat an elephant, right? Bite, 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 by bite. Although bite by bite, also applicable. But the way that you do it is in dosages. And it has to go day by day. And where it gets hard, where you fuck yourself up, where you trip yourself before the start line, is because you're like, well, it should be here already. Why isn't it here yet? So I guess that's not for me. When if you're really being honest, it's like, how much work have you put in? How much work have you really put in? And knowing also that it's like, our days are full of many more things. We have to be many more people to you know, it's like we're moms, we're dads, we're spouses, we're roommates, we're bosses, we're, you know, like all of these different things that we are, all of the different ways that you have to show up in your life, working towards your purpose and whatever that means, strengthening that inner trust for yourself. That's only a percentage of your day. So don't let it take up all of your energy. If you know that you are showing up in the way that is the most authentic for you to get to the place you want to be, you are walking and you are trusting your path, let that be enough. The amount of time that you spend in your head, or it's like, oh, they got that thing, and like, well, I guess I'm never going to get it. Well, not with an attitude like that, Judy. You know, if you show up every day and you do the things that you're supposed to do, and then you allow the rest of your energy to enjoy where you are, to participate, to be there, then you can let go of that. What is it all going to be like? I need to know what the end destination looks like. I mean, because ultimately I want to leave you with this, which is like, can you have a little bit of fun? Like, I say this all the time. It's like if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know I'm like really trying to find a tattoo artist in Atlanta that does tiny tattoos and like thin lines. And I don't know why this has been so hard, and no one in my circle knows anyone. So please, if you know someone, I'll go to Nashville, I'll go to, Chattanooga, whatever, like holler at your girl, because I'm trying to find somebody to get some new ink. And but one of the things I was thinking about tattooing on my body, which is like one time. This is it. You get one time. We're all doing this one time. And I think when we can remember that, again, what is the elephant? What is the thing that you're trying to do? You get, this is it. This is it. It's all happening right now. And when we can come at life that way, I think that there's way more harmony. I think, again, we can infuse this idea of like comedy. That's so much of why I bring this to this work, which is like, ain't nobody getting out of here alive. Okay. So it's like, you got to have a little bit of fun. We got to have a sense of humor. We have to find the levity in, these really hard things. Because again, getting to the places that we really want to be, chances are, if you're really looking at it through a spiritual lens, which is like, you are here to learn something. There's a karmic thing that you're here to learn, even if maybe you don't believe in karmic cycles. Okay, generational trauma. Can you leave your generational line? Can you leave the world better than how it was when you came into it? Everybody's healing something. One of the things my mom used to tell me all the time when I was growing up, she's like, everybody has problems, Rachel. She's like, even everybody who acts like they don't have any problems and nothing's wrong. She's like, don't let anybody fool you. Everybody has problems. And, I feel like that's the kind of, the pedestrian 8-year-old version that you give to an 8-year-old. But, that same thing, which is like, everybody's going through something. Everybody's going through, something to heal, which goes back to this originally, which is like all of these concepts that feel, if you're feeling that way of like, oh, I don't really want to share with people this journey I'm on, or, oh, I don't really want to, set boundaries with certain people, let them know maybe, I'm not drinking on weeknights, or what are people going to say? And it's like, first of all, whatever they're going to say is going to bother you. I'm not going to tell you that it's not, because that's also a lie of being like, there's always grief and not being liked. We want to be liked. We all lived in tribes, right? If the whole village was looking at you, that meant they were probably going to kill you. So it's best to just assimilate, right? I get it. I'm here for that. But what I do want to offer you, which is like, it's not their life, it's your life. And the more that individually we all do the things that are hard, we light ourselves up, people are paying attention, and everybody is healing something. The people that are like lame or whatever, it's like, chances are you wouldn't want to switch lives with them to save your life, because people that are hashtag high achieving, that are doing the things that they want to do, that are showing up, that are making the daily deposits, aren't sitting around looking at other people to shit on. That's just not how it works. So if it's hard, let it be hard. Trust the path that you're on. We are in this major transition right now. So many of us either experiencing something for the first time, doing something that we've done before. No one is immune. There really is a lot of collective lessons that are happening. And, the more that I do this work and really get into it, I'm like, well, there's actually like something really here, like because I grew up here in Atlanta. So I have all sorts of different walks of life in my social circles and in my community, because there's people that I've known since I was in kindergarten, and maybe if we met today, maybe we wouldn't, instantly click, but we have that background and that love for each other and that support, right? That I'm meeting all sorts of new people, and then people I work with and clients and people that come to me, and everybody in all these different stages. And really collectively, so many of us are in this place of stepping out, of kind of going to that next level in the video game. So if nothing else, know that the thing that you're doing that's hard, I am also out here doing the work, doing it scared, doing it hard. And God, what a great bumper sticker. Just doing it hard. I'll leave it there. Again, friends, I'm so glad that you're here, that you're a part of this community. if you're in the greater Atlanta area or nearby, I've got a new fall residency that I will be doing at Phoenix and Dragon. It's a metaphysical bookstore here in Sandy Springs. So I have a bunch of events that I'm going to be co-collaborating on there. I've got a whole new lineup of live salons that will be presented in collaboration with the Rachel LaForce Show and a variety of different healers and speakers, teachers that are going to be coming to you in Asheville, Boston, Vermont, New York, LA, Ohio. So these are just some of the places that we've got on the docket for the beginning of 2024. So stay tuned for all of that. In the meantime, grab your spot for the group reading that is Thursday, October 12th at 8 p.m. I would love to see you. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to chat, I've got a link on my website for a free 15 minutes. Pony up. Let's chat for 15 minutes. How can I be of service? How can I answer a question? How can I be support for you? Hit me up. That's what I'm here to do. Well, those are all the notes, or I forgot something. Either way, I'll see you next week. As always, stay in it, stay light. Love you, mean it.